Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another video, once again for Enrico. Just like my thoughts on Married with Children Season 3. If you haven't seen that video, feel free to check it out. I go into sort of I don't know if you watched that, I talked about the show itself, how this is really the first time I've watched the show all the way through. I had seen bits and pieces growing up, but never like a full episode. Because we didn't have Fox when I was growing up. The few Fox shows, my aunt would send us videotapes of like X-Files and Simpsons. But yeah, Enrico sent in a very nice PayPal donation for requests of reviews of Married with Children Season 3 and 4. If you're ever interested in sending me requests via PayPal of pretty much any type of video, you can feel free to do it directly to my PayPal, and the link to that is down below. Or you can feel free to join my Patreon. Either way. Get into this. I would say I probably enjoyed Season 3 more than Season 4 here. So I don't know if I would go as much detail as Season 3. Because even as I watch it, as this season was getting on, I was getting less and less interest. Other than Ed O'Neill. I still really like Ed O'Neill as Al Bundy. I mentioned in my video on Season 3, I was really getting more and more annoyed by the Patty character, by Katie Siegel. I still appreciate how un-PC and risque the show is, how it's a very silly, over-the-top show that you're not supposed to take seriously at all. And, you know, there was some pretty decent stuff here, don't get me wrong. It doesn't make me go out and, now I'm going to watch the show from beginning to the end, from Season 1 to Season 11. Hey, because I'm busy with a bunch of other stuff. But I do like Ed O'Neill. Even though he's playing a character that's supposed to be sexist and all this other stuff. Again, just his goofy nature, the way he structures his face and reactions, definitely to me is the best part of the show. So overall, and you know, there's other good stuff to it as well. So I would say overall I did like it. But just some reason Season 3 I liked a bit more than Season 4. Maybe because one of the things is with Season 4, Amanda Bierce and the guy who plays Steve, who are the neighbors, they're much more like straightforward characters, but every once in a while you go, okay, there's something bit to them, like a weird thought here and there. But I thought, you know, you had straightforward characters to play off against Al Bundy's, but here the Steve character during the season did a loan that he knew would backfire, but it's almost as if the characters really changed from Season 3 to Season 4. Almost like, are these the same characters? Like maybe Amanda Bierce you could see a bit more, but the other guy who plays Steve, but that's because apparently that actor, he wanted to go back to theater, so they had to find a way to write him off. So he makes a loan to Al Bundy. Of course, Al Bundy loses it. One thing leads to another. The guy loses his job. Then he doesn't want to work. Then he at one point gets arrested, and then at one point he just outright leaves Amanda Bierce, and then that changes Amanda Bierce's character a bit, because again, she was a bit more of a straightforward character in the third season. Here, did a bit more out there, which just made her a bit the same as the other characters, if that makes sense. But, it's a blanket. But yeah, get into the episodes. Episode 1, hot off the grill. Pretty much it's Al Bundy wanting to grill outside for a barbecue. That's the gist of the song. The gist of the episode. I said song because you do have the song Bad to the Bone, who I remember from Terminator 2 and many other stuff as well. Of course, Christine, John Carpenter's Christine, among others. I thought this was a strong way to start off Season 4. You know, some good lines. We've been married for 17 years. Can't we just be friends? A bit weird because usually Peggy's the one who wants sex and Al says no. But now Al Bundy's the one who wants sex and the wife, Peggy, says no. And there's a part that you almost go, is he almost raping Peggy? That was a bit weird. But the other gist of the episode is that Amanda Bierce's aunt has died and there's ashes, and of course the kids, being stupid, especially Christina Applegate's character, took those ashes because Al Bundy needed ashes for the grill, and they had dumped the ashes in there. And some of them find them and some of them don't. But I mean, I thought it was a fun way to start off the season. I mean, episode 2, Dead Men Don't Do Aerobics. Yeah, again, that risque humor with Al Bundy and Peggy and such. I've never seen him dry. You never had sex with him. Pretty much his local aerobics instructor has his own TV show. Peggy wins. I did like Al Bundy when he thinks the healthiest man in Chicago is going to do something to his wife, and Al Bundy goes, "Then you should heal quick when I pull your spine through your mouth." What happens is Peggy, of course, she's a shitty person, and I die down, so the guy, he starts eating with bad habits and smoking, and then he dies. And then she starts saying, "We're going to eat right." And then Christina Applegate, "You mean with forks?" But then, of course, by the next episode, that's long and gone. Again, because it's a Peggy-focused episode, I was starting to dislike this character more and more. I didn't really care for it too much. Episode 3, Buck saves the day. Has some gross out humor, like Al Bundy picking at his feet. The kid Bud sold his dad to take these other kids camping. Again, there's some fun lines of dialogue, like the kid goes, "I want my mommy." And Al Bundy goes, "Yeah, so does your dad's brothers." Again, Ed O'Neill, I thought, was the MVP of... maybe one day I'll watch the rest of the show just for Ed O'Neill himself. Maybe, and Amanda Bierce. I did like Amanda Bierce. Again, being a fan of her in the original Fright Night, and being surprised she was in one of the stars of the show, it was fun to see her as well, despite the fact that in real life, Ed O'Neill and Amanda Bierce had a friction with each other, and... But that one, I thought the ending kind of petered out of that episode because they want to send the dog Buck back home to rescue them. And the dog gets home, but pretty much Christina Applegate and Peggy, they're too busy cheating the other women out of money and cars, and the dog just sits on the couch. And I don't know, they kind of just petered out. And that's what I mean, like this season I just thought was a bit weaker than season 3, but that's just my opinion. Episode 4, Truth or Consequences. I thought the strongest part of this episode was the very beginning when Ed O'Neill's character Al Bundy is outside of his house and people are just talking shit to him. "I had steak tonight. What are you having?" And Al Bundy goes, "If I was the mailman, I'd be having your wife." Part of the interest, the gist of the episode, his tooth starts hurting. He doesn't want to go to the dentist. He ultimately does. And people, you had Joe Flaherty in there, he's a comedian that's been in stuff. I remember him. He was in Club Paradise. And I think I'm trying to remember. Was he on SNL? Or was he on... I'm not sure if he was on SNL or he was on SCTV. I can't remember which. But then his nurse is Tracy Lords. So interesting to see Tracy Lords there looking pretty hot. So, that stuff made the episode a bit interesting. Episode 5, He Ain't Much But He's Mine. Peggy thinks Al's cheating on her. The one thing I got out of this was, why go out for milk when you got a cow at home? And ultimately finds out that no, Al's not cheating on her. But again, that's mainly an episode focused on Peggy, so... it's nothing against the actress, it's just the way the character was written. She's just more and more unlikable, and it seems like she rarely got her comeuppance, and a lot of times I'm like, just dump the bitch. Just fucking divorce this bitch's ass. Episode 6, Fair Exchange. This was interesting because the gist of this plot was they're able to get $500 a month by having a foreign exchange student, and the student is Mila Jovovich, a very young Mila Jovovich, who is supposed to be French. And well, maybe she is. Well, she is a French foreign exchange student in this, and of course they're only worried about the money, and Mila Jovovich starts stealing all of Christina Applegate's boyfriends, and Christina doesn't like that, so she tries to find a way to get her kicked out of there. The one piece of dialogue I remember is the teen kid Bud going to Christina Applegate, "If you truly want to get rid of her, I'll kill you." "No, this is not a joke. I will kill you." But of course, by the end, Mila Jovovich fails her grades because she copied off of Christina Applegate, which was the wrong move. Episode 7, Desperately Seeking Miss October. Episode 6, before I go on, like Mila Jovovich, the fact that she was in this episode, that was a bit... I'm not a big Mila Jovovich fan, but it was just interesting to see familiar people in early roles. But I can't really think of anything much with the other characters, like Al Bundy, pretty much, "Oh, we get to eat." The beginning, they're eating, they ate the cheese off the pizza yesterday, so now they're eating the crust today. That's how the episode starts. Which, I got a little chuckle out of that. I seem to, if it's not centered on Ed O'Neill or maybe Amanda Bierce's character, then my interest kind of wanes on it. Again, not because the other actors did a bad job, it's just, I think Ed O'Neill really was the show. Episode 7, Desperately Seeking Miss October. A Playboy playmate enters the shoe store, and Al Bundy and his neighbor Steve, they're really high up on it. I'm sure this is one of those episodes to stem when people call the show sexist. Some people would just call it sexy. And Al Bundy finds out that Peggy sold all of his Playboys. And just the look on Ed O'Neill's face, "They're gone, Steve. My Playboys, my stable, my women, my life." Another bit of dialogue I remember Ed O'Neill saying is looking up and going, "What was I thinking when I said I do? I already had sex with her. I didn't need to do it again." But ultimately, he does get his Playboys back. But Peggy fucks him over another way. But, that's Al Bundy's sort of life, is consistently getting fucked over. Episode 8, I didn't really care for. 976 Shoe. I don't know, just the whole plot where Al Bundy... This is kind of when the Steve and the neighbor thing really started changing, because Al wants a loan for the shoe hotline, which is, everyone says, a stupid idea, and they were right. So Steve gives him the loan because Steve works at a bank, and he gives the loan because if you give out certain loans, you get a trip to Hawaii. And of course, Al Bundy can't pay it back, and then Amanda Bierce says, "Fine, I'll give you the money so that my husband can keep the job." But then Al Bundy spends it again, and you get this very on purpose, awful commercials. But I don't know, just something about the didn't jive with me. I don't know how to put it. Just something about it, I don't know. I mean, some of the way Ed O'Neill acted in the episode, in the commercials, when he's trying to sell his hotline, was a bit entertaining. But again, it just didn't, maybe because the way they built up that Steve character, the neighbor, it just seemed very not him. Like, it didn't seem like the same character in the previous season that would go do this. But again, it's like they had to start letting him off the show, so he's becoming a bit more out of character. Maybe that's what it was. Because I didn't mind the actor, and again, I thought him and Amanda Beers kind of, they were a bit more straightforward, and there was sort of counterbalance between them and the Bundys. Episode 9, I didn't mind this one, Oh What a Feeling, where Al Bundy needs a new car, and he has this shoe box at $5,000, but realizes there's $800, and there's a red hair, so you know who fucked him over again. And again, it's real. Ed O'Neill's performance, like he's so sad trying to look at the car, and he's so sad that the homeless guy, goes up and gives him money. One thing I thought was interesting was when Al Bundy gets the car. At one point, he's pushing it. The wheel is on the right. Like in the vehicles I've been driven, it's on the left. But here, the steering wheel is on the right. I don't know if something people notice, but again, I just thought it was just, wait a minute, why? And they never mention it. Like, wait, why is the steering wheel on the right? Steering wheel on the right. Especially when little montage when he's getting the cars at the end, because he pushes the car in. Even when he drives the car in. It's like, well, they did that because of the way it's a sitcom, so a studio. They made it where he pulls in a certain way, so they film it a certain way. He would have to go back out there, so they just made the steering wheel on the right, even though, from what I understand, there's no car in America maybe there is, but there's no car in America I know that has a steering wheel on the right, so that was a bit weird. But that was a bit of a fun episode. Episode 10, At the Zoo, the neighbor Steve, he won't get a job. Amanda Beers is pissed about that. I would say the good part of this episode is there's a point where Amanda Beers and Ed O'Neill, even though they still don't like each other, they go out for beer and they're talking about their spouses. I thought that was the interesting, best part of the episode. I thought the two, again, strangely enough, the two who had friction together, I thought they worked fairly well together. And then Steve gets his ass arrested. And Marcy, Amanda Beers' character, is like, I'm not going to bail him out. I'm going to buy a new car. Episode 11 and 12 was interesting because it was a take on It's a Wonderful Life, where Al Bundy finally gets the money to buy presents, but he's late to the bank. Parents go, oh, I wish we could find some place to dump our kids while we shop. And Al Bundy gets an idea. But because he tied him up, the parents get pissed and take the money back. And then that's kind of when the episode ends. And then the second part, episode 12, is when Sam Kinison comes into play. Which I thought was a bit interesting to see Sam Kinison in there. So that was nice to see him there. And I didn't grow up with Sam Kinison, but I knew enough about him. I had seen him in films like Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield, and enough people who grew up in the business of comedians. They really talked about Sam Kinison a lot, and you could obviously find him on YouTube and so forth. He passed away a long, long time ago. A lot of people in the comedian community seem to really like Sam Kinison. Definitely seemed like a energetic personality. And then for the big role he was in Back to School, he was good. Same with here. And he plays Al Bundy's guardian angel, and we realizes this is the guy he has to save. He's like, no! And even by the end of the episode, he does his famous, yeah, he does this sort of yell thing. That was sort of like part of his act. So that was fun to see that. Of course, like, It's a Wonderful Life, but everyone's doing well. Which is weird because if Al Bundy wasn't part of this family, there would be no Christina Applegate. There would be no Bud. Because it'd be a different person with their seed. But I guess they didn't want to overthink it because, hey, it's a silly sitcom, so don't overthink it too much. But I'm like, if it's a different father, it'd be different kids. But I don't know. They did that to showcase, oh, here's Christina Albade's character, but she's prim and proper and not a slut. Here's David Faustino, the Bud character, but he likes his sister and vice versa, and just how nice his family's at. But even then, if you think about it, Peggy was like this in school. I mean, we just saw in one of the previous episodes in the reunion, all the girls saying about how Peggy stole all their boyfriends. So Peggy would not really have changed. I guess because she's with a successful husband, so she just, maybe she grew up, so to speak. Maybe that's, but you're not supposed to take it that seriously. But I mean, it was a bit of a fun 2-part episode. Other episodes, season 4, yeah, one episode that was like, where Who'll Stop the Rain, where the rain keeps dripping and he's trying to fix it. Pretty much sort of a redundant pratfall where he goes up and then a mannequin that's supposed to be his body falls down and he keeps falling down, and that's kind of the running joke. And he finally does fix it, but then he falls down and he's stuck there and no one can hear him. So I don't know, it just seemed like, to be honest, seems like a plot that would be in a sitcom from the 70s, let alone, this more risque show. Other episodes, there's a bowling episode where Peggy gets a perfect game and bowling. Again, because I started really disliking Peggy, I really felt bad for Al Bundy, to be perfectly honest, that his perfect game was gone. Because again, I really just started to dislike the Katie Siegel character. She just came off as the character came off as annoying and irritating and fucking over Al Bundy consistently and stealing all his money and fucking him over and never much getting punished for it, so to speak. And I don't know, I don't know how to put it. So that, I mean, by the time I got to the end of the season, I'm like, I'm kind of almost done with it. Probably the big gist of near the end of the finale is you gotta know when to fold them, which they take on the Gambler song by Kenny Rogers. Rest in peace, Kenny Rogers. He's not in this, but the title is a take off the song from The Gambler. That's when the neighbor, Steve, finally does leave Amanda Bierce's character. Again, in real life, the guy wanted to go back to theater. Granted, in stories, like, this is the same guy, but, and at least, I guess I could at least say they were kind of they're trying to make a story out of it from past episodes, because he loses his job, and then other stuff happens where he doesn't want to look for a job. So at least there is a development of it. It wasn't just out of the blue the guy left. So they give credit where credit's due. But then Peggy takes Amanda Bierce to Vegas, and Al Bundy doesn't know what's going on. Then Ed O'Neill finds out that they're in Vegas and goes over there. And yet again, like, Peggy wins, meaning Al Bundy gets into this contest of wrestling because Peggy and Amanda Bierce fucked over the money. And then Al Bundy wins to survive 3 minutes, but they get smashed by this overweight lady. So he's kind of just almost crippled. And they can barely feed him. And then Peggy gets all the money and Al Bundy's just left there. I know that's part of the gist of it, is that Al Bundy's character is the loser. And you're not supposed to take it seriously because it's a silly, over-the-top sitcom. But even by this point, I'm like really feeling sorry for the Al Bundy character. And to the point I'm like, fuck Peggy. And by the end of the episode, he just drifts on his wheelchair ready to crash down. And even though this is a silly, stupid, like, risque show, I just started feeling bad for Al Bundy. And I mean, I just really felt bad. I mean, the other episodes, I can't really. There's really not much for me to say. I mean, one episode, Christina Applegate gets a job as a weather girl, and she gets a contract, but she can't read the teleprompter because again, the character's dumb. The last episode of season 4 is a yard sale. They decided to have a yard sale. I don't know. It seemed like a lot more could have been. I think a lot more could have been done with a yard sale because you could have had Al Bundy talk with various different people and various different interactions. But that never really happens because it's just one of those things where nobody comes. And no matter what they do, nobody comes. I don't know, I just thought that was kind of a missed opportunity because you really could have had a lot more people, a lot more, like you could have had a lot more characters or different personalities come in and do this or do, I don't know, I just think a lot more things could have been done. Like Ed O'Neill sniping at different people or making fun of different people or just, it's a missed opportunity for a lot of interactions that could have happened but doesn't. So I just thought it was kind of a meh episode to end the season on. At least that's just me. One note is there's an episode where Tiffany Amber Thiessen from Saved by the Bell appears, where Bud is trying to make amends with her, even though she made fun of him in the 6th grade. Interested to see a young Tiffany Amber Thiessen, because I do remember seeing bits of the Saved by the Bell TV show. But like I said, Al Bundy, Ed O'Neill's character, is definitely the best part of this show. I thought he was consistently funny. Christina Applegate and the kid who played Bud, they were fine for what they had to do in their roles. Peggy, she just annoyed me. Nothing against the actress, Katie Siegel, but just the way that character's written, her barely getting any comeuppance, she really dragged the show down for me. And she's one of the main characters, so to me, for me, it hurts my enjoyment of the show. I didn't hate it, but yeah, just was starting to hurt it. I don't know, I didn't think I just thought season 3 just had a better culmination of episodes compared to season 4, but again, it wasn't a horrible bad show at all. It was still fun to see the Risque jokes and the on PC humor, and I don't know, maybe they were trying to soften that a bit because of the controversy that started in season 3. So maybe that's sort of the change where they're still risky but not as risky as it seemed compared to season 3. So maybe they were trying to dwindle it down at least a little bit, which is why they had the episode of, oh, he's going to go up and he's falling down off the roof. While an episode in season 3, it's, we go to lingerie and oh, look at all these pretty women, or in a little bit of a different. And then the whole thing, because the guy wanted to leave, the guy who played the neighbor, the breakdown of the Steve and Amanda Beers, like those characters' relationship, when there was sort of the straightforward couple in season 3, that was a bit eh. So yeah, for me it's a step down for season 3, but because of Ed O'Neill, and there were, like, I think the first episode was strong, a couple of the others. Yeah, either you've seen the show or you haven't seen the show. It doesn't matter what I say. It's just Enrico wanted my thoughts on it, and I hope I did a decent enough job. Thank you so much, Enrico, for the PayPal request. If anyone's ever interested in a PayPal request for a review or re-review or pretty much any type of video, feel free to do it via directly to my PayPal. The link down below will be in the info box. Thanks for watching. Take care. And we will see you guys in the next video. Thank you once again, and later.